bees over here. What's the big advantage of having all nurse bees? They're not aggressive, and they're going to be much quicker to accept that new queen than if there were a bunch of foragers in there as well. So that increases your acceptance by letting those foragers. You think, oh no, I want all the bees I can and every one of them. No, you don't. You want all your old forager bees back in the old hive with the old queen. This new one, we want all these nice, gentle, young bees, this new queen to come out. Right?
Generally, when I do this method, I also reduce the entrances down instead of having a full entrance, because it reduces a lot of robbing issues and stuff too.
That's a good point. I tend to forget that because all of our bottom boards that we use, our pallets, our entrances are always the same. 5 inches by 5/8 of an inch. We don't reduce them, we don't enlarge them, that's the way our bottoms are made. So if you guys are on standard industry bottom boards, you will want to put your reducers with the larger or even the smaller opening on them at that point. Yes?
So after you do the split, you want all those foragers going back to the original where the queen is. So you're not putting those and taking them that night. You're leaving them set for a couple of days and then moving them to another yard after a couple of days.
If we're doing cells, we take them that night. We set them off on our new pallets and we haul them out. We get done around midnight usually. But if it's for the purposes of our group here, most of you guys are on bottom boards and you're going to use mated queens and you want your bees in the same location. There's no reason you cannot do this as long as you're using mated queens. But, so it really doesn't matter. If you want to move them, if you do want to move them to another yard, do it while the queens are caged. Because anytime you move bees or disturb bees, they get aggressive. And even though this queen has been in here 7 to 10 days in the cage, if you were to let her out and then move the hive, she's still the new queen. And those bees get agitated. It's not uncommon for them to ball her at that point. We see this a lot with our nukes. Every year, 5% of our nukes will ball their queen, even though they've had her laying for a couple of weeks. So if you're going to move them before the queen comes out. Yes?
Do you take all your nurse bees out of your cages with just that single queen? Do you have nurse bees in with her?
You can leave them in there. Doesn't hurt. Our queens always come without nurse bees. So we don't really have that problem. If you have nurse bees in the cage, make sure the exit hole is pointed up, because those nurse bees will be dying very shortly. And if they die and plug up the hole, then you can't get out. You point over here.
Yeah. Also, when I use this method, if I'm moving the bees out, I wait until I get the bees in location before I add queens, because it's terrible to open your hive 2 or 3 times.
Oh, see it on the bottom.
Your queens in there.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah. When we put in our cells, our queens get away. When they're in the new locations, when we do that. But like I said, most of you guys are going to be staying in the same spot. So, but that is a good point, because there's nothing holding that cage in there except a little bit of friction from the frames on either side. And if you're moving the hive with that cage in there, those frames are going to rock. And that cage could fall screen side down. I've had them fall without moving them. And it happens. Ideally, they fall screen side up and everything's okay. But they fall screen side down and your queen dies.
If you're going to move them back to your original yard, how long do you leave them 2 miles away?
We never move ours back to the original yard, but if you wanted to do that, are you talking about with mated queens?
Yeah.
I'd let her lay for a week or 2. ideally, if you're going to move them, then you'll move them to their location for the summer, which is what we do. If you want them in this location, and you're using maybe cleans, there's no reason to move them out at all. So this all goes into the biology and understanding what's going on and the principles involved. Yes.
You're using unmated queens.
I never use unmated queens. I have no experience with them.
I mean, back to the cells. I mean, if you're doing the cells, okay?
Yeah.
I'm new at this thing. As you couldn't tell. If you're moving the cells and you're going to move them to a new location, get 2 miles away from the other one, how many of those new boxes can you put there that don't have queens in them, but they're all going to have cells? In other words, you put two
We normally,
close to the
how many of these splits with queenless splits do we put in one single location?
Right.
Typically 300. Now if you're under 300, you're okay. But that also brings up the question, is there enough drones there? When we do this, we know our drone population, we know we got planes and none of that. There's probably, now that we're here in Oklahoma full time, there's some areas we'll only put 100 or 200 into one spot. But if you got a good drone population, there's really no limit. I know people that put actually we've put 400 in a location before this.
Hobbyist that opens a hive and finds queen cells in the spring and thinks it's about to swarm. Can you just talk through the split process on that?
Okay. You open your hive and you see queen cells. First thing you need to do is determine what kind of queen cells they are. New beekeepers, tell me about the queen cells.
So on the top, they're queens, if they're on the bottom, there's one cell?
Let's give me the 3 different kinds of queen cells. Seizure, emergency,
Swarm.
swarm. Okay. They all have different characteristics. Location is a good indicator, but it's not the indicator. That's one of those experience things that you're going to develop over the years, learning how that is. But with the time of year that it is, we're going to assume that they're queen cells. I mean, they're swarm cells. If that's the case, you do basically exactly the same thing. Because if it's a swarm, those are swarm cells, the old queen's still in there, right? Swarm hasn't left, queen's still in there. So we have to know where she is. I need to find her, but we need to know where she is, and so we're going to put her where we know where she is. And so what we will do is basically exactly the same thing. Shake all of these into one bottom box, and then what you can do then is you can actually make that bottom box into its own hive. Put your queen excluder on there and make up your split. The only difference you're doing now is each box above that queen excluder needs to have queen cells on it. And when that once you get that done, there again you wait 6 hours. You can actually wait. You know we wait 6.5 hours. You can wait 24 hours. Easy, no problem. But then since you have now cells, you want to take those somewhere else. And I would suggest that you take the old one somewhere else too. And what that does, anybody tell me what that just did?
I've got rid of a lot of the forage bees, the old forage bees, wouldn't it?
Well, the forage bees, they're going to stay in there with that old hive. But what we just did was we created the exact situation that happens when the hive swarms on its own. You take that old queen but the only difference is we're giving her brood. And we take her somewhere else. These bees are in a new location. Hey, we swarmed. All right, we're going good. These two here, hey, they swarmed. We got these queen cells. We're good to go. And so you've created an artificial swarm. the difference between an artificial swarm and a natural swarm is you're controlling the process. And instead of climbing up a tree to get your bees back, you got them in a box with a queen cell already. So you just saved a whole lot of trouble. And the old queen, she's over there doing her thing. So it's a matter of you being in charge of the process and taking advantage of their biology and for your benefit and the bees. Yes, swarming is a natural process, and all the wild bees we have in the United States today came from somebody's swarm. They just did. There's no such thing as a natural honeybee in the United States. They're all from somebody's swarm, and they're all from a hive that's less than 3 years old. So we're just keeping control of the process for our benefit and the bees. The difference here is, since we're controlling the process, and we can feed them, and we can take care of them, these bees have a much higher chance of surviving the winter. 75% of these artificial swarms that you make are going to survive the winter if you do what you're supposed to do. Out in the real world, the natural swarms, 75% of them die over winter. And so that's your advantage to taking control of the process, and that goes back to the principle of you are the beekeeper, you are responsible for their welfare. These are not wild animals, although they can seem like it sometimes. But they rely on you for certain things, and since you have taken them into your care, you have a responsibility to care for them, and that's part of it.
In the old queen box, there's no swarm cells be left, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, they're all in others. You leave the old queen down there, she doesn't need a swarm cell. Although you could leave one, but then she would just leave and take that little big bunch of bees with her.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I had that happen.
Ideally, you don't have any swarm cells. And I'll tell you a secret. And I've seen this in a lot of the older books too. When you see swarm cells, for God's sakes, don't cut them out. First of all, you're not going to stop the swarm. Second of all, you may not get them all. They're very creative about where they put them. And second of all, if you do get them all, are you absolutely positive that this hive hadn't already swarmed? And the queen's gone, and so you just created a queenless hive?
Yeah.
So, think about this stuff whenever you're doing it. Yeah?
Hey Greg, whenever you put your second box, you being a commercial beekeeper, when did you put your second box on those splits?
Whenever we go,
Compared to a hobbyist.
whenever we go back in our time frame, whether it's the 10 days on mated queens or the 21 days on cells, whenever we go back to make sure they're queen right, at that time we feed them, put the second box on.
What about hobbyists? Will you have to wait till they get say 6 or 7 frames of brood? Or?
If you've got drawn comb, that's a distinction though. We have all drawn comb except for the 2 foundations we put in each box. If you are a hobbyist and you're going back to the foundation, all foundation, you want to be sure to put some drawn comb in that second box to draw them, to get them up there. But other than that, there's really no problem with doing all foundation.
Now I'm talking about the hobbyist time. When should they put their second box on?
Whenever you've got a laying queen and everything's copacetic, you can go ahead and put that second box on. Yeah. Yeah, because if a mated queen, 10 days, she's gonna lay that thing up in a week if it's drawn comb. And then the second box, you'll have a drawn comb up there. She's gonna go up there and lay. That's gonna draw the bees. And in the meantime, they're gonna start drawing those frames. So it's not like starting a brand spanking new hive with a nuke and everything is foundation. That's a whole different deal. And you do need to wait a little bit there and let them get drawn out to get your populations up. But with the splits, especially if you've got lots of growing comb, you don't need